When Counter-Strike 2 was announced, it wasn't just another update. Better lighting, new visual effects, higher quality textures, the game clearly stepped into a whole new graphical generation. And that immediately raised a serious concern. What about older graphics cards, especially those limited to just 1 GB of RAM? On paper, some of these GPUs technically meet the minimum requirements. They support the right APIs and they seem to have enough memory, at least according to the spec sheet. But CS2 isn't just about launching the game. It's about handling modern visuals, constant memory pressure, and non-stop asset streaming. So the real question is simple. Can Counter-Strike 2 run on 1 GB of RAM? And if it can, just how bad does it get? You might not know this, but this is actually the most played game on Steam right now, with over 1 million concurrent players. After being rebuilt 5 times over the past 25 years, with the latest transition from Counter-Strike Global Offensive to Counter-Strike 2, both the graphics and audio have been significantly upgraded thanks to the Source 2 engine. And because of that, this game can absolutely punish almost any GPU. So what if you don't have the budget for an expensive graphics card? Well, I've prepared 4 GPUs, each costing under $30. And here's the crazy part. Every single one of them has just 1 GB of RAM. I'm going to do everything I can to make them run as smoothly as possible. We'll start with the weakest GPU first. And quick teaser, the third GPU is going to be really interesting, so make sure you stick around. To make sure these GPUs are tested as fairly as possible and can run at their full potential, I'm using the same test system for all of them. The setup includes a Ryzen 5 2600 on a B450M motherboard, 16 GB of RAM, and everything is tested on Windows 10 Pro. Now let's start with the first GPU, the GT630 with 1 GB of RAM. If you've been following my channel for a while, this card should look pretty familiar. But for anyone who's new here, let me quickly go over it. This GPU was released back in 2012, and luckily the version I have uses the GK107 chip with 192 CUDA cores. Unfortunately, there is one downside. The original cooling fan is broken, so I had to get a bit creative and use a heatsink from another GPU along with an external fan to keep temperatures under control. Alright, with that out of the way, let's jump straight into the games and see what this card can actually do. To get a more realistic result, I decided to test this in deathmatch instead of just running benchmarks. That way, it better reflects what actual gameplay feels like. Even just sitting in the lobby, something already felt off. The image was stuttering, and controlling the game felt rough. Before jumping in, I switched everything to low settings to speed things up. And to be fair, loading into the match only took about 20 seconds, which isn't bad at all. I started at full HD resolution, planning to lower it if needed, but honestly, it wasn't good. FPS was hovering around 20 to 25, but the bigger issue was stability. The 1% lows dropped to around 1 frames per second, which seriously hurts the shooting experience. Input lag was very noticeable, making reactions slow and putting me at a disadvantage in most gunfights. It wasn't until I dropped the resolution down to HD that FPS finally improved a bit, sitting around 25 to 30 frames per second. But the image quality at that point was really bad. Everything looked blurry, and a lot of textures were clearly breaking apart because of the 1 GB Vram limit. For a GPU this old with just 1 GB of RAM, the fact that it can even run Counter-Strike 2 at all is honestly impressive. But if we're being real, is it actually worth buying to play games today? The answer is no. This card is simply too old to handle modern games properly. Alright, rest in peace to the GeForce GT 630. Let's move on to something slightly newer, the GeForce GT 730 with 1 GB of RAM. At first glance, the GT 730 also looks pretty weak, but there are a few interesting things here that not everyone notices. First of all, the GT 730 comes in multiple versions, and the one I'm testing today is the 1 GB DDR3 64-bit model. And yeah, this is basically the hard mode version of the GT 730. The bandwidth is significantly lower compared to the GDDR5 GT 730 that people often confuse it with when watching benchmarks. So yeah, I got a bit unlucky. I already had the weakest GT 630, and now this is also the weaker version of the GT 730. But that's not really the most interesting part. What I'm curious about isn't just raw FPS. It's what happens when that 1 GB of RAM fills up. Does the game start stuttering? Do we get those micro freezes when data has to spill over into system RAM, or even the storage? So today's test is all about finding out where this card actually breaks. Is it during game launch, map loading, or right in the middle of combat? Let's find out. Things do feel smoother compared to the previous GPU, but only to a certain extent. At Full HD resolution, FPS sits at around 30, even on the lowest settings. On paper, that might sound playable, but in reality, input lag is still very noticeable. Reaction time is a big problem here, and for a fast-paced game like Counter-Strike 2, that's a deal breaker. For games like this, you really need at least 60 FPS to feel responsive. So 30 FPS, even if it looks okay on screen, is still far from ideal. I then dropped the resolution down to HD, but FPS only improved by about 5 to 10 frames. Yes, frame delay was slightly better, but not enough to meaningfully change the experience. And the core issue is pretty clear. 1 GB of RAM is just not enough. Once RAM is full, the GPU has to pull data from system RAM, which is much slower. And if that's not enough, it spills over to the SSD, which is even worse. That adds latency, hurts performance, and causes textures to look blurry and broken. Even when I lowered the resolution to the absolute minimum, FPS only went up by a few more frames. And at that point, the visuals are so bad that it's just not worth it. Honestly, this is still a pretty rough experience. Let's put the GT cards aside for a moment and move up to the GTX tier. Representing that segment today is the GeForce GTX 560 with 1 GB of GDDR5, a model originally released by ECS back in 2011. Same 1 GB of RAM, but a completely different class. If the GT 731 GB DDR3 is the kind of card that's just good enough to get a display, then the GTX 561 GB GDDR5 is a proper old-school gaming GPU. What really makes it stand out is this. Still 1 GB of RAM, but paired with GDDR5 and a 256-bit memory bus. That gives it way more bandwidth than the GT 730 DDR3. In simple terms, games can load textures and effects faster with less stuttering. But here's what makes today's test interesting. Even though the GTX 560 clearly much more powerful, it still has to deal with the same 1 GB ROM ceiling as the GT 730. So the big question is, how does it actually behave in CS2? Honestly, I still can't believe this is the performance we're getting from a GPU that was released back in 2011. Right, at match start, this GPU only took about 14 seconds to load into the game, which is 6 seconds faster than the previous GPU. That already tells you something. Thanks to its higher memory bandwidth and wider memory bus, FPS gets close to 60 frames per second at 1080p. Unfortunately, the software doesn't show VRAM usage, so I can't confirm exactly how close it is to the limit. That said, you can still notice jagged edges and aliasing on object outlines, which hurts the visual quality and realism a bit. If you're not too picky about graphics though, this GPU is still surprisingly decent. Next, we're stepping things up by roughly 130% in raw power compared to the last card. This is the GeForce GTX 750, the Galaxy GC edition. Design-wise, it honestly looks like something straight out of a superhero armor set. The real highlight here is the GM107 chip, NVIDIA first-generation Maxwell architecture. Just looking at the specs, you can already tell it's on a completely different level. 512 CUDA cores, 1 GB of GDDR5, and a 128-bit memory bus. But here comes the plot twist. It's still only 1 GB of RAM. So while the raw compute power is clearly higher, the fuel tank is still small. That said, I have a strong feeling this card is going to deliver a very different experience compared to the GPU we've tested so far. Now the real question is, will the advantages in CUDA core count and higher clock speeds be enough? Or is this card going to disappoint me too? At 1080p, this GPU manages around 60 FPS, and while the 1% lows do improve a bit, the difference isn't huge. When I drop the resolution down to 720p, performance becomes much more stable, hovering around 90 FPS and sometimes even pushing past 100. To deal with the heavy aliasing, I tried bumping the settings up to medium, and that definitely helped clean up the image quite a bit. The downside, though, is that FPS takes a hit of about 20 to 30 frames. So it's the usual trade-off, better visuals but lower performance. 1 GB of ROM is a serious bottleneck in CS2. You're forced to choose between smooth performance or decent visuals. Getting both is nearly impossible on 1 GB GPU.